Hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here, and today we're going to talk about what it means to ask for feedback the right way. Now, many people tend to walk into situations with their supervisor or their manager and just say, give me feedback on this project. What are your thoughts on how this project went once it's over? And this allows the manager to pretty much create their own narrative of the kind of feedback they're trying to give you. And here's where this can go wrong. Today I was talking to someone and she explained to me that she asked for feedback after a pretty difficult project, and she read to me the feedback her supervisor gave her. And I found it a little disappointing, mostly because he focused right into the negatives. She told me that she was having a hard time processing what he said to her, and then she actually said to me, I'm a little embarrassed to share this because clearly he picked out areas where I need to improve. Now, the reality of the situation is that he picked out areas that were very strong personality traits and told her she needed to tone them down or she needed to change them if she wanted to be more successful working with people who were higher up. And this pretty much meant she has a strong personality and she needs to take the edge off of it. I found this quite off-putting. Now, usually what happens is we have managers, or you can be a manager and you feel like you're giving constructive feedback or constructive criticism. It doesn't land well. And he focused mostly on things that he thought she was doing wrong and needed to improve. In reality, a manager or supervisor should be giving you feedback to say, here's where you navigated the space well, and here's where I see how it came off the rails. Let's talk about ways to step into this in a different approach and see if you find success that way. Now, I told her I don't think it was okay for him to pick out what was truly her personality and tell her, you got to change who you are. Okay, so in that discussion, it occurred to me, in order to get feedback from the people that you work for. That could be stakeholders who are giving you feedback once a project's over, a supervisor or a manager who's giving you feedback after a performance review, or even anybody at the higher level who feels it's their responsibility to give you some sort of feedback once a project is done or even during a project. You can drive this narrative by asking specific questions to make sure these people understand what feedback you're looking for and what's going to be most helpful for you. So I came up with 5 questions. You certainly could ask one or all of them, but I hope you get the gist that each of these questions, they're open-ended questions. They're specific to what kind of feedback you're looking for, and they keep the person giving you feedback inside a certain lane so that they don't go off the rails and just give you crazy feedback, which is you're too, it drives me crazy. You're too outspoken. You're too opinionated. You're too quiet. All of this feedback is just a reflection of, excuse me, but your personality doesn't suit the environment and you're not going to be successful unless you change who you are. None of that is helpful. None of that is helpful, especially if you're a young person just starting your career or finding your groove. You really need to find that moment, that area that melds between how you show up for work and how you truly, what your personality is and how that shines through. Because once you find this intersection, you will be successful. You'll feel comfortable in how you show up for work, and the path for your career is going to open up for you. So let's get started. Here are 5 questions that you want to ask, one or all of them, as you seek feedback once you're going through a project review or you're having a development review for a promotion or for a year-end review. Okay, so question number 1, how do you feel I communicated and where can I improve? Very specific question. You're not just asking for, this is what you did well, but you're also asking where could there be areas for improvement? Now, why is this one important? It's very specific to your communication skills. Now, they are going to want to give you feedback, and like I said, maybe you're too rough, maybe you're too opinionated, and that's okay. You're collecting information, and we also want to read between the lines. So whatever they do tell you, you're taking note of it and you're looking at it. Are they telling you that you communicate too much? Maybe it's because you're nervous or you feel this is high stakes. This is what we're doing. We're reflecting back on the information they give you. But if you just say, how did the project go, and they launch into all kinds of stuff, there's no order to the feedback you're getting. Question number 2, how do you feel I managed the team? This is about your leadership, especially your leadership of people and those who depend on you for direction. You want very specific feedback after a project, after a year when you're doing your annual review, very specific feedback as to how you're doing with your interpersonal skills. And this is specific because it's about the people who work below you. You may not have a team. This then is specific to people who work alongside of you. When you're part of a team, how did I manage these situations? How did I interact with the people around me? How did I work in a team environment to move people forward? Those are the answers you're looking for, something along those lines. Question number 3, where do you feel I could up-level my management skills? Now, this is a different type of question than the other one, which is about team dynamics. This one is, how are you managing? How are you managing people? How are you managing projects? How are you managing expectations? All of these areas are different ways for you to manage as you show up. If you're trying to get promoted, if you're trying to improve your career, if you know you're on a management track, this is the space. Question number 4, where do you feel I got caught in the weeds? Very specific. Again, you're allowing your supervisor to give you feedback, but it has to be inside a certain funnel. So you specifically want to know, while I was working on this project, where do you feel I got too caught in the details and forgot the bigger picture or lost track of the bigger picture? Again, your supervisor could say that wasn't an issue. Also, your supervisor can say, that's a great question. First, let me think about it. There might have been an area where you doubled down on it. What is this question telling you? When you have stress, when you struggle with overwhelm, this is where you fall in the weeds. If you're asking in any project from any supervisor or a stakeholder, where did I get caught in the weeds? If they have examples, if they take time to think about it and they give you answers, use that information to understand. This is where I have a derailer, something that will derail me when it gets overwhelming. You may have had a project that wasn't overwhelming and you went really well. It all went really well. Don't ask the question. But if you're concerned and you're just wondering, how did this play out? Especially if this is one of the first projects you worked on, ask this question. Where did I fall into the weeds? All of that information is going to give you great insight into where you struggle and how you can manage expectations for the next project. And finally, question number 5, overall, where do you think things went well? You're asking for positive feedback. You want their impression of how things went. Now, you don't have to ask these questions in order. In fact, this question you can ask first. Overall, let's set the tone and ask ourselves, where did things go well first before I dive into some of these other questions? But if you leave it for last, all of that's fine. It resets the conversation and you get to end on a positive note. You're looking for feedback that says, you communicated well with people who are higher than you. You managed expectations when things got rough. You showed up when others couldn't do it. This is the kind of feedback you're looking for. What does all of this mean? This is how you show up as a leader. This is the type of work that takes you from just being a manager or just running teams or being a team player to being someone who's a decision maker. Where did you step in when others couldn't and take charge? That's what you're looking for in this type of feedback. All right, so those are the 5 questions. When you're looking for feedback, make sure you keep people in a funnel. Make sure you're asking for specific feedback. It's all about how you communicate, how you lead those around you, and how you got caught in the weeds when there's areas for improvement. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.